Welcome back everyone to this lecture on the alter clause. The alter clause allows for changes to an existing table structure. It has lots of use cases such as adding, dropping, or renaming columns, changing a column's data type, setting default values for a column, adding check constraints, and even renaming a table. Let's look at just a few examples for the general syntax for these cases. The general syntax is alter table, table name, and then some sort of action call. For example, if you wanted to add columns to a table, you would say alter table, table name, add column, the new column name, and then specify a data type. You can remove columns by saying alter table, table name, drop column, and then the column name you want to drop. You can alter the constraints of an existing column by again using alter table, table name, alter column, the column name, and then you can do things like set a default value, you can drop the default value, you can remove or add in a not null constraint, such as setting a not null constraint to add one in. You can drop a not null constraint. You can add just a general constraint by saying add constraint and then the definition of the constraint name, like a check constraint, etc. So let's go ahead and explore some examples since there's lots of things we can do with this alter table command. Okay, here I am in pgadmin. Since we're going to be doing so much altering and editing to a table, let's go ahead and create a new table first. We'll say create table, and we'll have just this table be called general information. And let's go ahead and have just a couple of columns here. We'll say an info ID column, which is going to be serial and based as a primary key. Let's have something else called title. This will just be like the title of some information. Say 500 characters max. And let's say for now, it cannot be null. And we'll add in one more column. Let's go ahead and have this be some person the information is related to. Again, variable character, we'll say 50. And let's have it be not null as well as unique. All right, so very basic table here. We'll go ahead and run this. Okay, so the table's created. Let's select everything from that table just so we can see the columns. So select everything from the information table. We have info ID, title, and person. Let's do a couple of things first. Let's go ahead and rename this table. So the way we do this is by saying alter table. We choose the current name, which is information, and then we say rename to, and this will change the table name to something else. Let's go ahead and call this table new info. We run this and we successfully alter the table, which means if I were to try to select from the information table, I get information does not exist, which means I need to use the new name, which is new info. And again, we get back this empty table. So that's how I can rename the table. If I want to rename just a column, I can do this. I can say alter table, new info, rename column. Let's go ahead and rename the column. So the way this works is we say rename column person to, and then the new name. Let's go ahead and say people. Run that. And if we select everything from new info, I see now person is people. So obviously a lot of things you can do here with this alter table command. The next thing I want to do is show you how you can use the alter command in order to alter constraints that already exist on certain columns. But to do this, first I want to show you how we could try to insert data into this table. So I'm going to say insert into new info, and I want to insert, let's say, just a title. Recall that people was also not null, so I'm actually not going to provide people on purpose here. We're going to say values, and let's just have title be some new title. And if I were to run this, I get back an error saying null value in column people violates not null constraint. Okay, so we have two options. Either I can add in people and then add a value for it, or I can try to remove this not null constraint using alter table. Obviously that affects it permanently for the table on a table level, but this is just to show you the alter command. So I'm going to say alter table, new info, alter column, people, and then we're going to drop the not null constraint. If I wanted to set a constraint, then I would use set, and that adds a constraint. If you want to remove a constraint, you use drop. And recall, this not null can be anything. It could be dropping the unique call, the not null call, any sort of constraint here. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this. Okay, so I successfully altered that table. Now what I'm going to do is if I take a look at my query history, I can actually grab that old query of insert info. So let's go ahead and copy this. You can also, I'm pretty zoomed in here, so might make it look a little strange, but in yours you should see insert into. Go ahead and copy this. You can even copy it directly into the query editor. So I'll just click that. So we're trying to now insert into new info, title, values, some new title. Let's go ahead and run this, see if it works this time. And notice that it was able to work because I had removed that not null constraint. So if I select everything from new info, run this, we're able to add in some new title and keep people as something null. If you ever get confused or stuck or have trouble remembering what the actual calls are for the alter table command, you can always go to the documentation and look up alter table, and it has a whole synopsis of the different variants you can use, such as rename to the table, etc. We can also show you different actions that are available, dropping columns, adding columns, altering columns, etc. So lots and lots of different options here and examples. And if you start scrolling down, it has even more detail on each of these commands, such as alter constraint. There's also things like dropping constraints, etc. So lots of different options here. It's all for you. It's all here for you in the documentation. Okay, thanks, and I'll see you at the next lecture.